You can put this down. Yeah, they can stand.
Hello, Ottawa. How's it going? Good. Thank you, Rhonda, for that introduction, and thank you to ARC, and I'm destroying the microphone. And for everyone for coming. Yeah, I'm just trying to raise it up so I don't have to look down. Thanks for raising the camera above my head. Only Monty knows what I mean. But he asked me if he could film me, and I thought I would be very honest, and I said, well, yes, as long as you... I'm a vain filmmaker, and I've been in Nashville for the last month, and I've been pretty stressed out with the move, and so I've been eating everything that won't eat me. Which it turns out it's a lot of things. So I thought as long as you shoot it above my eye line, then my double chins won't lie. So I thank you for that. All right. I'm not checking my phone. I'm just checking the time so I don't go over it. So if you wonder why I keep looking down at it, that's why. I'm just going to read some poems from Cogotronic. So this poem is called World Town. And I wrote it when I was living in Brazil on an island in a writing residency, and I contracted dengue fever. And the doctor came and told me, oh, you have dengue fever, which I suspected. And I said, is there anything that can be done? And he said, well, not really. And I said, well, what's the options? He said, well, if you start hemorrhaging in your brain, you can get on a motorcycle and go to the next village. We can give you an IV. But basically, it's either live or die. Those are the choices. So at the end of 10 days of hallucinating in a hammock, I woke up and I felt much better, and I wrote this poem. World Town. Entirely windless today's sea. Of these waters' many names, the best seemed field of pearl leaves, for it smelled like the air in the house he built entirely of doors. Pink school door, gold of the burnt hotel, 2 old church blues, the abandoned bank's steel doors singular and immovably wedged over the family's heads, though as with everything corroding, the sense of themselves slipping away in the heat, falling through the day's brightness the way soldiers once fell upon him, walking home with a bucket of natural water, as he had been recalling the town square before the tannery's closing, he and his father shopping on horseback in the noon plaza, where they first saw a man crouched under a black shroud, what his father called a camera. His father forgot the incident immediately, but for years the man asked whomever if they remembered a camera, vegetable stalls, the butcher holding the cleaver, a horseshoeing shop, purple berries, the long cassava valley haze, fish nets, a few crab baskets and browning nets drying by the ice cream shop, 7 taverns, a small unused ferry terminal, a map on its wall outlining the island in blue, the names Good Dispatch and Lover's Bridge, pointed to by a mermaid of skin whiter than anyone on this island of Angola's descendants, her red hair. So, I'm going to read a little love poem. Actually, it's not that little, but it's kind of little. It's a sort of love poem. It's a poem about the counter-revolution. It's set in an unnamed island in the Caribbean, which you might be able to figure out. It's called Bronze Age. Their revolution painted on a wall, revolution scent in the rust-colored dirt, and the rat-heavy palms, and the blue diesel smays over the former capital. We waited. On the corner, insistent laughter. On the corner, a turned-over bus, flame-bathed to the metal. Our tape measures cocked as per our orders. We were given a belt each and a night. Mine was short-haired with jagged white gear teeth and a dirt-sniffing mechanism for quicker dirt sifting and much data to desist. Lots. in Caraballo, and our ideas are our weapons, among other things. Revolution, revolution, faint image of the revolution's big man on the plaza clock, drawn in wrought iron, splashed on a smock. The sounds we watched for, night wind, cracking canvas sails, woodstick rhythmically striking woodstick, hastily made motorcades, ragged sirens. The revolution? Through our high-powered guiders, twin-stroke underbuds of revolution's engine, the puttering three-wheeled revolution. The landless campesinos beaten by pots and pans into land, and nothing we could do. They resented our husks. Of two eyes, one always lies. This we knew. We planned removing the other, replacing it with Jefferson dirt. Dirt of the sea, empire dirt. Wind down from the north dirt, father dirt. Dirt of scallions and ghost galleons. The elephant god Jefferson. Trident in one hand, another with axe, snake in another, and in another his reins, steering his 8-rat team. As through the green clouds they steam. On Jefferson's neck, a lush green alligator hung from a bone chain like a hymn. As always, family bones, yet distant, somewhat empirical and fencing the hill, long shards of oxidized metal. There went tradition, bronze titan. The balcony scene, swarms of wet black hair surrounding wet black rocks on the treeless frozen sand expanse. Once the show trials were over, we would get to work, but quietly. Such were our orders. Swimming style analysis, certain constellations notated from the tattered revolutionary cupola ceilings, hands to secure a detainee's head, placement and number. In their revolutionary stories, the sound of dirt on the animal skin drums was like the sound of a blinking eye roving wild in its socket, was like their revolution had its big man, its new man tales of the monolith sky. We had our love. Okay. We'll read a very short little lyric called Janelas, which is Portuguese for windows. I have a home in my son's hand. The pier is out. The key is closed at noon. You can sob, so be it, as if dates, as though you had an oven of dough everyone wanted. Day, I'm over it. Outrowing an okay used pair. Sailing your barcode, you shop with the pain you're out now avowing. Our rope cake vice squeezing through sewer hour. I sail mystery, oh sewer. Made on that pall of rat veil, A forms a dream navy. In the unclear, I don't miss saying. I'm going to read another brief poem, short little poem. Actually, I'm going to read this weird poem that I wrote for Gil Scott-Heron that I don't think I've read in the book before. I wrote it around the time that he died. So, you know, Gil Scott, some say father of hip-hop, etc. It has some lines directly from his albums. It's called Chinese Blow-Up Doll. It was only in his mind. Ain't no thing with the power of sun, heat, creation, screaming, river, voodoo, juju, beautiful first day of Ramadan. Sunset over Ramallah. In 1960, I was a Negro. Over 100 Negro pounds melted his mind. Ain't no thing. Washed out, baggy face whores ain't no new thing. He was moving, but it was only in his mind. Lunch meat on the first day of Ramadan. West side, bro. West Bank, brah. Most deaf, your friend, is CIA. So the last one I'm going to read is this poem called HNIC. I have time for it. Am I all right? Okay. Good. HNIC stands for Hockey Night in Canada. And to most of the rest of the world, it stands for Head Nigger in Charge. So you could take it either way, I guess. it begins with an epigraph from a rapper who used to be called Lil Bow Wow. He's not little anymore, so he's just called Bow Wow, I think. And it has some lines from slave plantation owner in New Orleans, the Laurel Plantation. Some of you might even have been there. It's a really interesting, it's a Creole plantation, French planters, and preserved. And it's interesting also because it's the site of where there are preserved slave quarters where the Brer Rabbit stories were transcribed. Those are African stories that were transcribed by literate slaves. And the reason we have them in North America is because of that. And it also has lines taken from interviews during the WPA administration, FDR's Back to Work program in the Depression, and he had people going around recording interviews with people who had been slaves. They were senior citizens at the time. This is the early 20th century. So these interesting recordings were made, and then some made-up hip-hop lyrics and a bunch of other stuff. I could go on and on, but there really was a bar in Brooklyn and Williamsburg called Cokies. I'll leave you to decide what they sold there. And it was owned by some old cops, so it never got busted. And there's this great phrase that I love when I taught in New York. The kids would say, yo, you smell like ass, yo. And it made me laugh a lot. I was supposed to discipline them, but I thought it was funny. So that was at the high school for the humanities. HNIC, B-side. This is the B-side in the club remix of the single. And the epigraph is bow wow wow, yippee yo, yippee yay, where are my dogs at? Bark with me now. That's by Lil Bow Wow. Bow to the one in the white suit, the stick-up king of Jersey City. I got lucky. Miss Ella was a little girl when I was born, and she claimed me. It was like that, and this was like this. It was like wow to the dark-skinned shorty in the shiny dress. She's got the floss and the flow and the itchy shimmy. This was not Normandy where there are many cows. This is where we had a prayer meeting any time. We went to the white folks' church and there was no whiskey on the place. No, 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 honey, no whiskey. And every morning around the way we'd say wow to the crushed can collector. Yeah, that funked out guy we were down with. He's one street off from cool and your mom's now, but someone said coming up he'd buck her down on a barrel and beat the blood out of her. Someone said he was this close to making Bronx science. They should know. My owners, my white people, my old mistress wrote me a letter telling me how terrible it was at a dance one night when a tall, gauchy American mashed my toe. They say I made a sound that sounded like yip. I think his name is P and I think his Q is who asked to join the White Boy Alliance anyway? I mean, I never see my father in my life, but you could always see the little Negro children marching on the levee on their way to school, blue Appleton spelling books up in front of their faces chanting, both bit the nigger and they was both bad. Much later, they would paint, yo, you smell like ass, yo, on the flag of the high school for the humanities until one morning the dogs began to bark and in minutes the plantation was covered in Yankees. They were polite, told us, no, je n'étais pas jolie, mais j'avais un teint de rose, and put food in a trough, and even the littlest niggers gathered round and ate. Foremost of those protégés was the old mulatto, Celestine. Yip was not her name, but she answered to him. We was little G's running through the bodega with a buffet that smelled like pee. Back then, my only concern was getting my leather satchel where I hid Mother's diamonds. That was what I wanted. That was where I went. Yay is what you wanted. That was where you went. And if you're like us, you hit the curtain booth back by the Panama Bananas where the doctors held a consultation, where the suckers for cornrows and manicured toes hung out their shined-out arms explaining, oui, mon ami, you have made a mistake. My army don't imitate doorway ass-whooping systems. He said she meant that she would sell him, then put the money in her pocket. She said, he meant, I knows how to raise flax dogs who wonder where you at, and ladies, where you at, all the ballin' ass niggas in the candy cars, all the girls in the house who can buy the bar. Let me hear you say, he was on the staff of Andrew's American Queen, a New York magazine, and he deluged me with poetry, so, George little more than a boy was allowed to take charge. He shouted, at some point, you're gonna see my slouch as I sloth up toward you in my crispy clothes. The family bitterly opposed his going into law. The Southern gentleman had to be a planner. For Virginia was synonymous with dancing, was synonymous with yes'm. I've been here a right smart while, not bark and holla all you want. At some point, I'm going to fake you to the bridge. I mean, at the time, dueling was not very popular. Everyone knew wit wasn't all it and a bucket of chicken. You had to have game and a platinum chain to step to this. And besides, at times, she developed Les Boutons or pimples on her face. Me, I got my nameplate etched in the corner lecture booth at Cokies. The Glock scholars taking constant dictation. Several claimed their fathers were Sicilians who came up the river as beggars on pack boats selling oysters, bananas, apples. They sailed to Paris for medical treatment. That was where they went. They was a box of 11 hams in that grave. It didn't bother me. No, 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 sir. I had been dressed in deep mourning for over a year. They wanted her to be perfect, for when a sugar planter walked the streets of New Orleans with his cottonade breeches, alpaca coat, and gold-headed cane, he was the king of creation. To all he would quietly declaim, now hear this, it's the mad bling in my pocket jingling. Now hear me dismiss this classic witness defense, quick as a weekend trip to Vegas. City of red roof porta potties, bean steaks, slushies, and more ice than you can graft to the fender of my gold Escalade. But it didn't bother me. No, sir. Most nights I fell asleep wearing earrings made from old gutta-percha buttons. Tiny baskets carved from the shells of large pecans. I didn't care. Plus I had to check on my snakes. The one called slavery lay with his head pointed south. The one called freedom lay with his head pointed north. I knows how to grow a snake. You grow it. When it's grown, you pull it clean up out of the ground till it kind of rots. And all night the children's chorus lay the chorus down. Both bit the nigger, and they was both bad. And in the cobblestone streets, some pimpkin with something be shouting, now hear this. I got a bounce now. I got an ounce now. Watch it. This big dog is leashless. Thank you.
Okay.